Well, happy Wednesday. I'm not going to be looking at the screen today, at least for the next 18 minutes. I'm running behind compared to what I thought I would be because my butt sleeped in. So, welcome to HBRV Lifestyle, the podcast. I am the host, the Honey Badger, here to give it to you straight and transparent about the RV business, as well as other things. We got a big episode for everyone. We're going to get you set for college football, but we also need to talk about the Supreme Court made a ruling yesterday that is basically going to affect the RV industry, specifically the motorhome industry, specifically the heavy-duty truck industry, and lastly, the diesel truck transportation and long-haul industry for the next 30, 40 years and beyond. It was a very interesting Supreme Court decision because it's surrounded by conservatives, and you would have thought that being a severely conservative Supreme Court, that the decision would have been different. But we're going to get to that a little bit later in this episode. I decided I'm going to dedicate at least one day a week to my favorite sport, college football. And last night, the Memphis, West Virginia game, I was scared half to death that game was going to be absolutely atrocious and boring. But it wasn't. So it goes to show you, and this is where I think part of the problem with college football will always be that there's a top half of the college football and there's a bottom half of the football. There's a top half of the college football, a bottom half of the college football, and then there's 6 feet of crap. Okay? Memphis, and part of the problem is the NIL deals are sort of ruining college football in a way, but it's ruining college football not in the product. The product's fine during the season. It's ruining my favorite part of college football, which is bowl season. It's ruining bowl season because Memphis basically played their second and third string players during the game. West Virginia played mainly all of its seniors. So you had basically, if you watched last night, you saw Memphis play a bunch of true freshmen, redshirt sophomores. They basically played first year and second year students, while West Virginia, who kept the ball game very competitive, played mostly their juniors and seniors. So you could see that a place like Memphis is a stopgap for highly talented football players, and West Virginia is a destination place where kids go for 4 years. The transfer pool doesn't affect the West Virginia Mountaineers as much as it affects a school like Memphis. That being said, I'm a big believer, and I have voiced myself on every single platform I can, whenever I can, that they need to take the transfer pool and have it after the national championship game. If you wait till after the national championship game, like you do in football, right after the Super Bowl, just like baseball, right after the World Series, then what happens is it gives schools more opportunities to play better bowl games. It gives bowl selection committee more time to figure out the bowl game situation, and you don't have another Marshall situation where Marshall has 27 of its starters go straight into the transfer pool the day after the Sun Belt championship has basically been won. So if you wait, then you're going to get bowl season's going to be better. Schools that fire head coaches and are on a head coaching hunt, like North Carolina was after Bill Belichick, gives them an opportunity to actually do their homework and their due diligence and hire someone correct and according to their program, and not rushing to get someone so they can get ahead of the transfer pool. I mean, what's the real difference between December, the mid-December, and January? What's the difference? Nothing in college football, because college football doesn't start getting to summer camp until May or June. You don't start even thinking about picking up a football in college until May or June. So there's no difference between December and January. So I think the NCAA needs to push that back and get that going. Now, I have no problem with who was selected for the college football playoff. That last and final spot, realistically, wasn't going to go to Alabama. Alabama had a bad season. Okay? I don't care. Look, I'll put it this way. If I remember, it was like 2006. Houston beat 5 top 25 teams that season and were 10-2. They had the number 2 strength of schedule and number 5 strength of record in the country, and they weren't even considered. They weren't even considered for a national championship bid. Okay? So let's take strength of record, strength of schedule, throw it in the trash. Because most SEC teams play a very weak non-conference schedule. A lot of teams like Alabama play 2 FCS teams every year, 1 group of 5 team and 1 really team that shouldn't be in football. Now, this next year, they're going to play Ohio State. That's different. That's one of those rare years where Alabama is actually going to challenge themselves. I'm in for that. I'm all in on that. But the reality is that Alabama did not belong in the college football playoff. And Ole Miss had a better argument. South Carolina had a better argument than Alabama. SMU had the best argument. Okay? Now, in Alabama's defense, you can't control your conference opponents and how bad they are or how good they are. But you can go to a place like Texas or a place like Michigan, or go on the road to a big Power 5 school, which they never do. They always want to be in a neutral field or at home. So I have no problem with who was selected. What I have a problem with is the way the bracket looks. Okay. The bracket punishes the number 1 seed. Okay? What needs to happen, either immediately or going into next year, is the bracket needs to be reseeded. Okay? The bracket needs to be like so let's say, for example, Clemson wins and Ohio State wins this weekend. Okay. Clemson's the lowest seed, so they should go play Oregon. Arizona State should have to play the highest ranked winner of the weekend, and so on and so forth. I have no problem with conference champions getting a bye. There has to be a reason to win your conference championship. It makes for good TV. It makes good for good drama. Because you don't get a home game, but you get a bye. I'll take the bye over the home game. Especially if you played in your conference championship. See, that's the difference. That's what a lot of analysts don't realize. And this is to Paul Feinbaum himself. Wake up. Those guys all played in their conference championship game. They should have the opportunity to have the bye because they played in the championship game. If you're an at-large bid, you don't get to get a bye. So if you're, as an example, Tennessee, and you lost one game all year, and that game kept you out of the conference championship game, you should not be rewarded with a bye just because you're ranked higher. The two teams that went and fought, battled, and won the right to play in the conference championship game, they should have the opportunity to have the bye. Just like in the NFL. You win your division, you can't get a bye in the NFL without winning your division. You can't get a bye in any sport without winning your conference or your division. So why should college football be any different? Well, because Arizona State and Boise State, they all got a bye. They deserved it. They won their conference championship, and they were ranked higher than Clemson. Now, if you really want to make it fair, if you really want to screw with the world, do it like the NCAA tournament does it, and have all 9 conferences, because the Pac-12 will be back, so make it 10. So the 9 conferences now, 10 conferences when the Pac-12 makes a comeback, all 10 champions get into the college football playoff, and you only have 2 at-large bids. Now that will really screw with people. Now if you want an at-large bid, you better have a hell of a schedule, a hell of a ranking. You better be in the top 2 for that kind of thing. Then there's no arguments. Now it's highest ranked champion, 4 highest ranked champions by the AP poll or the college football playoff poll. They all get a home game or a bye. There you go. Now there's no more arguments. Now you get to argue over 2 teams. That's kind of like college football has become a very interesting subject. And as the season, the next 2025 season comes into play, I'm going to be more vocal about things. But like today, tomorrow, and Saturday, we got a lot of bowl games lined up. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a lot of fun. Okay. Now that segues us into the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of the United States of America will not see the case about the California Air Resource Board. Okay. Basically stating that the generator law and the clean truck law are never going to get struck down by the federal government. Now, here's the reason why. So I read the response by the conservative justices, and the only one out of the 5 conservative justices that wanted to hear the case was Judge Thomas. But 2 of your liberals and Judge Thomas wanted to hear the case. 1 liberal and 5 conservatives said, no, the California law doesn't breach federal law. It doesn't break federal law. And in their statements, they basically were all on the same page that California has set the standard for smog and clean air laws because it's one of the largest populated states in the United States of America. So, I mean, that's fair, okay? Fair comment, fair situation, okay? Here's the problem with it all. The problem is the law is not a law. Okay, it's smog regulations. It's different. Number 2, it doesn't ban combustible motors. Where it stands right now, it does not ban combustible motors. You are allowed to build as many combustible motors as the market sees fit in California. But in order to qualify those vehicles to basically pass the smog regulation, you have to have a certain percentage of your total vehicles in a total rate range be zero emission. Not electric, what they call zero emission. Whatever you want to say, that doesn't matter, it doesn't exist, fine. This is the law, or this is the regulation, okay? So I'm going to repeat what the regulation is so everybody has an understanding of what the real regulation of, I'm sorry, I have the turn signal, of this, of the California Air Resources Board Clean Truck Air, or Clean Air Truck Act, okay? The total amount of chassis, not per industry, the total amount of chassis sold in California have to reach an X amount of, they have to reach an X amount of zero emissions. Sorry, I'm all stuttery today. Let me try this again. Okay. If you're building a chassis, let's say for vans, and those van chassis are 8,501 pound to 14,000 pounds, it doesn't say in the law each individual chassis. It says chassis at that weight range. As long as you are in 7%, 8%. Basically, God, man, this always gets me all flustered and frustrated. Basically, you have to have a certain percentage per weight in order to qualify for the credits to build combustible motors. That's all you need. You don't need 100%. You don't need every RV. You don't need 8% of RVs or 25% of RVs to be electric. That's all baloney. That's all malarkey. That's all bullcrap. That's all fairy dust. That's all garbage. Every RV built in 2025 can be combustible engine. every RV in 2025, I'm going to repeat that one more time. Every RV, every motorhome in California can be a combustible motor. There's no percentage of RVs that have to be zero emission. There's no amount of RVs that have to be electric. Period. Ford has to create a certain percentage of chassis to qualify for the credits. It's a cash grab. California is looking for money. It's a big cash grab. That's the bottom line. They're looking to pluck money from manufacturers because there's so many freaking companies that have left California. There are people who have left California and they don't have tax revenue. So let's tax all these big trucks. Let's tax all these big RVs. Let's tax all these buses. Let's tax all these delivery vans. That's the reality. Because if there was a motorhome salesman, if you were not allowed to buy a motorhome in California, in Washington, in Oregon, in New York, in New Jersey, in Massachusetts, etc., if you were not allowed to buy a motorhome, then why is it that you can cross the border into Nevada, buy a 2025 motorhome, come back into California and register it? It's a lie. So with the Supreme Court making this decision, they're basically saying that there's no ban on anything. The Supreme Court of the United States of America agrees with the honey badger. There is no such thing as a combustible motor ban in California, because that's what they argued to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, we're not seeing that case because we don't see anywhere in the law where it states that combustible motors are banned from California. It doesn't say anywhere inside the law that you can't go to another state, buy a combustible motor motorhome, and bring it back to California and register it. It is, Gary. Absolutely. So if the Supreme Court agrees with the honey badger, obviously the RV industry needs to fess up and say it's a protest, not a ban. And by the way, the day they do that, I'm going to come on here and I'm going to root for them. Every day I'm going to bash the California government every day when they come out and tell the truth. When the RVIA, RVDA, the manufacturers, and all the RV YouTubers that continue to tell the lie come out and tell the truth and say, yeah, we're protesting the manufacturers or protesting the state of California, state of Washington because they're BS law, I'm going to go, yeah, baby. Yeah, let's do it. And I'll jump on board. I'll jump on the horse's back and ride to the Old Town Road. Okay. Trout fishing is becoming I think on Google Trends, I was looking this up. It is becoming a very fast trending wintertime activity for RVers. So one sec, I'll let you know. Okay, hold on one second. Let me find it. I was driving a minute ago because it was nutty. By the way, if you're a baseball fan, Corey Bellinger went to the Yankees. I don't know if you guys know that or not. Okay. Okay, so they say the Fed is going to cut rates. That's interesting. Where is it? Hold on. I'm trying to find the article. Here it is. Okay. So the number 2 thing that has been Googled over the last 30 days is fishing advent calendar. Now, a lot of these calendars have been mostly about trout and the different parts of trout. And the people that are most interested, or the areas of the United States that people are most interested in trout fishing, is Vermont, Nebraska, Idaho, West Virginia. So basically all the snow states. And the snow states are looking into, these are the most Googled states that people are looking for trout fishing. Tennessee. So that means snowbirds are looking at Tennessee, South Carolina, New Mexico, Utah, which I don't know why you want to go Utah, it's snowing like hell, Kentucky, Florida, Louisiana, Arizona, and last is California. So I'm starting to see a trend where snowbirds are not going to California as much. I mean, I think it's just gotten to the point where people are so scared that if they bring their motor home or their fifth wheel here, they're going to get kicked out. That's how YouTubers make it out to be. The problem with the way the snowbird culture is they don't live out here. And so they depend a lot on podcasts, and they depend a lot on RV YouTubers, especially RV YouTubers that are full-timers, to kind of give them news about the road. The problem is California probably is the warmest state next to Florida. Okay. And the reality is that trout fishing is better in California than it is in Florida. Hopefully people realize that a lot of the states that they're looking at, Tennessee, Florida, they're more known for bass fishing than they are anything else. California, you have some of the best trout fishing in the entire United States in the wintertime. Not during the spring and summer, but in the wintertime, because you have Cachuma Lake, you have Lake Isabella, you have the Kern River, you have the Sacramento River, you have the San Joaquin River. That's all Northern California, those two. You've got in SoCal, you've got Irvine Lake, Santa Ana River Lakes. You got Lake Fulmore up near Idlewild. You got the Santa Ana River on the other side in the San Bernardino Mountains. I mean, you got just so many options for trout fishing in California during the winter. If you're going to do it, I mean, you might as well come to California. I know you're not going to get kicked out. Okay. Freshwater is the next major topic in fishing lately. Over the past 12 months, they've been looking at basically bass, trout, and catfish fishing. I don't know. It's just crazy. I thought that topic would be more fun to talk about, but I guess not right now because I don't have enough info on it. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to read you this. This is on rvbusiness.com. Where is it? Performance Brokerage Services advises on Coons acquisition. Performance Brokerage Services, North America's highest volume dealership brokerage firm, announced the sale of Wisconsin RV World in DeFrost, Wisconsin, from Christine Egan and the Egan family to Coons Auto and RV, according to a release. RV Business first reported this acquisition on December 6th. Wisconsin RV World is Wisconsin's oldest licensed towable dealer. It was founded in 1945 by Navy pilot Jack Egan and entrepreneurs Bill and Rami Schneider to meet rising demand for affordable housing in Madison, Wisconsin. In 1957, the company expanded its offerings to include RVs, and in 1966, it sold its first Winnebago motorhome. In 1984, Jack's son Michael and son-in-law Dick Hoffman purchased the company. In 1986, the dealership relocated to its current location at the corner of Interstate I-90-94 and was renamed Wisconsin RV World. Michael's daughter Christine Egan joined the family business in 91, and in 2001 she became president, blah, 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 blah. Camping World fine? I gotta look at that. It's cold, man. Too big. It's cold. I'd rather have my neck warm than worry about a fashion statement. RV dealer Camping World reached a $3.5 million settlement. This isn't even on RV Business. This is crazy. This was 2 days ago, and it's not even on rvbusiness.com. That just shows you how much propaganda rvbusiness.com is. RV dealer Camping World reached a $3.5 million settlement with the Oregon Department of Justice after investigation found the company would claw back its advertised discount prices. The Oregon Attorney General's office announced Monday. The settlement follows a multi-year consumer protection investigation led by the Oregon Department of Justice. The settlement orders Camping World to return $3 million in refunds to affected customers. Our investigation found that Camping World would advertise a heavily discounted Dare to Compare price. During negotiations, Camping World would claw back its purported discount by double charging consumers for freight and prep charges that had already been included in the advertised price. Okay, well, I'll argue that prep charges are never included in a price, but I would include freight. I would agree about freight. This is not how Oregonians expect or deserve to be treated. Under the settlement, Camping World is required to pay the state $3 million to refund customers who purchased an RV from the chain between January 1st, 2017 and January 31st, 2018, who paid more than an advertised price for an RV. Wow, that's gonna start a domino effect. Holy crap. Wow. So basically, you're gonna see prices go up. That's bottom line. You're gonna see advertised prices jump. That's my opinion. So that means this is gonna happen sooner or later. This is going to happen. What I've been talking about for the last 2 weeks is going to happen sooner rather than later. If Oregon, who is a lot like the Wild West, wow, I'll have to do a video on that today. That's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. Yeah, that's nutty. That means that prices are going to go up. Advertised prices are going to jump because now freight, whole different ball game. Prep is charged in every deal. because the manufacturers don't pay for prep. So the company that I went to go do help them with their social media advertising, they include prep inside their selling price. But their selling prices are about $1,200 more than their competitors down the street. But you go to the competitor down the street, they're $1,200 less, but they charge $1,200 for prep. So they separate the prep charge from the selling price, while the company I went to go help includes the prep inside the price. Unless the manufacturers are willing to pay for the PDI, the pre-delivery inspection, it's going to continue to happen. You're going to pay for it one way or the other. You're going to pay for it. Now you're going to pay for it in a higher price. Now they're going to charge you more money to sell you the travel trailer or the motorhome. They're going to charge you more money. They're going to advertise it for more money. That's all that's going to happen. That's the only change that's going to happen to circumvent it. So I'll have to do a video on the main channel about it today. And I'll do a little clip on the podcast. So, very interesting. All right, guys, I got to get dressed, get to work. You guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.